Breakfast at Mom's. I'm Mom, aka Sandra, and these are my daughters, Candace and Alyssa, and these are my daughter-in-laws, Brooks and Felisha. And we want to welcome you to our online community of women where we meet every week to talk about things that we all face as women. And this week's topic is going to be Candace as the moderator. And what are we talking about?
How to be confidently single.
Woo, woo, woo. Oh, single ladies. Oh,
Alrighty, I'm just.
They're gonna
not
just take us off. We do not have the rights to this.
No, we don't have the rights to this song. Sorry. Okay,
Just Sandra Mom's.
we're gonna get into it because that's some things to cover.
canceled.
Look at them, just all about singleness. They're all married. Okay, I do not know who this will reach. It could be men or women. Someone, recently divorced or wherever you are in your life, this might help you in some way or another. I'm just going to read some things and y'all can chime in and until we get to the questions. And also the questions today are by single ladies who I reached out to and just had some questions. And
Nice.
Fun.
So we're going to get into that too.
Awesome.
So I'm excited. All right, especially since I was recently single. Now I'm confidently married.
1 year married as of several weeks ago.
Yes, so exciting. I love it. All right, confidently single. There's a list that I did some Googling and just like, what does it mean and everything. So I'm going to go through the list. And if you have something to chime into what I'm listing off, welcome to do that. I'll kind of look up. But if we're like, unless we're like, yeah, that's a good one, whatever.
Nice.
So because if you have all the stuff that I'm about to list off, these questions then are really for you. You're probably at that point in time.
Okay,
if they're not, then we might need to retract and you might need to reassess the list.
Awesome.
Okay. Confidently single. Trusting in oneself. Make a list of your strengths and achievements. Practice good self-care. Find a new hobby. Remember, you don't have to be in a relationship to feel connected.
True.
That's good. Yeah.
Let your friends and family help you stay connected. And then feel better about being single. Here's some ways to do it. To feel better, like I'm single, I'm having a rough time, but this is some of ways to do it. Change your perspective on certain things. Work on your goals. I did a lot of that when I was single, working on my goals, writing them down, where I wanted to be. Remember, I always say, work on your house first, and that person will come and add to it. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Like trying to buy a house, your stage in your life where you're at. Stop comparing.
Yes.
Stop comparing yourself to other people. And I think that was a hard one to get through. Like Mom constantly told me, you don't have to get married. This is not where your timeline is. Your timeline is different from everybody else's.
And that's okay.
And that's fine. Invest in other relationships you have, maybe some friendships, focus on the benefits, meet new people, embrace singlehood, have fun, travel, enjoy that moment that you don't have something that's like, oh, I got to set babysitters or I got to set pet sitters, enjoy it. Embrace yourself in the meaningful activities that you're living in right now. Recognize that not all of your thoughts are facts.
That's good.
Wow.
I like that one.
That's a good one.
Don't wait to be in a relationship to pursue your goals.
Right.
Don't like, I have to be this to do it.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
100%.
Use your past to inform your future, but not to sabotage it.
Right.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah, I love that.
That is probably a really big one of mine. I mean, everyone has a past. Everyone has to go through things and you learn from them, but try not to have that affect your new relationship.
Yeah.
Because then it's just really just you're backtracking.
Yeah.
If you're still thinking about your past of like, oh my gosh, and what you learn, he's gonna, is he texting another person or is he a girl? Then that means you're not dealing something with your own self.
Yeah.
And then another way is don't put your date on a pedestal. Like they're like, oh my gosh, he's magnificent. Oh my, he could do no wrong because you're well, maybe just because you're desperate.
Right.
Don't be desperate.
Right.
Said, don't be desperate.
Don't be desperate.
Right.
Don't put yourself on a pedestal. Like there is a difference between confidence and
Arrogance.
Arrogance. Those are the ones I really don't like. I'm like, don't be arrogant, but you can be confident.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's compassion and humble and just being, you know who you are.
Right.
And that's different. And when I remember Dad used to say, people probably think you're intimidating, Candace, and that's why they don't want to date you. I'm like, well, they need to keep up. I don't know what to tell them. But I wouldn't say that, obviously. I'm just like, well, then this is what I said. Then they can't handle, like, I need them to be on the level that I am on, or someone can understand my level.
Right.
Just understand who I am.
You can't fix people.
Yeah. Add that to the list.
You cannot fix people.
can't.
And if you think, oh, I can just fix him.
No. And so this list, or my thoughts were coming through. It's so funny that we have this podcast coming up on this, because I was listening to the radio and I was just, my morning after I pray, I'll turn on my radio, 97.9. I know it's not the best, but like, it's like my little daily scoop. This guy was talking on the radio and he was saying things about dating, and I have his book right here, Matthew Hersey, and it's Love Life. And I got the book because everything he was saying on the radio, I was thinking, or I've been through, and it's about dating. It's a man from Britain, British, and you can find him on Instagram. I did reach out to him, told him I'd do a little shout out to him, so maybe he'll reach out to me. But the book is great. It talks about, he's not trying to find your relationship. He's not, if you get in one, that's great. He's really talking about your self-confidence and being single, and how to detect red flags fast, and how not to, like, don't drag that person on, thinking they're going to get better. Like you say, you can't change people.
Right.
He tells you about it in the book, and I really flipped through some of the pages, and some of the stuff was just like, oh my God, I did that. And it was so funny.
Where was this book when you needed it?
Yeah.
I needed it back when I was a teenager. So I will recommend this book to teenagers who are like thinking about boys.
Yeah.
Or how about the men who are thinking about ladies? If you have red flags, girls do the same stuff that the guys are doing.
Doesn't
so
mean that there's just red flags for men. That's
everyone
not true.
has a red flag. It's just which was going to tick to you to get off that relationship.
Yeah.
And I would say recommend this book because there were some funny things. I'm like, oh my gosh, I did that. And I thought that. And in school, I didn't really date a whole bunch in high school, obviously very on my goals, but I was the advice that all the girls would come to. I'm like, oh my gosh, he did this. And I would give them advice. And I'm like, the advice I would give him, he wrote in the book. I'm like, I just didn't write it down. I could have had a book.
Candace, you could have had a book.
I could have had a book.
Look at there.
I'm like, but I do recommend the book. Go get it. It's on Amazon.
It's awesome.
And I definitely do that. So my next thing I was going into, I went through my list. And now you're feeling confident. I did my goals. I have going on. If there's something on this list that you're like, oh, I probably should retouch on that, do it. It's for your self-being. It's not only going to make you a better person and a human to when you interact with your future someone,
Yeah.
To be a better person for yourself and that person. So I want to get to the questions because I think it was really sweet for my single friends to write these to us.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to get to them. And I'm going to hear
Inquiring minds want to know.
I know. All right, I'm going to take yourself back to your single days.
That was a very long time.
You're going to take yourself back. Let's roll it back. Wooka, wooka, whoop.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
Mom said,
That took Mom somewhere.
Yeah, Mom felt that.
She's like, disco fever.
Mom said, I'm there.
All right.
Stay.
Oh, okay.
Then we don't have the rights
to these songs.
Okay,
My head is full of songs on this for some reason.
All right, she writes, any advice to girls in their early 20s who just don't know where to start when it comes to dating? What's the best policy you think is for someone this young? And I want to point fingers.
I don't know if this is true, but I keep hearing that statistically people are getting married older.
100%.
That they're
that's
not
true.
getting married in their young 20s. I was getting married when I was just into my 20s. So, so it's funny to me that statistically I hear that people are getting married much later.
I think there's a different, so there's the Christian girly realm. And in that realm, especially in Christian universities, I feel like the goal still to this day is marriage as soon as possible. Like that is just...
Well, it's called the MRS degree.
Well, yes. And a lot of that has to do with biblically, we are asked to wait until marriage.
Yeah.
So a lot of that has to do with that.
Right.
On the secular side, nowadays, it really is odd to be married before 28, 29, 30 and upwards. Like that is just like the normal kind of realm. So wherever you're at in the perspective and whatever your background is or whatever you believe in, I think is definitely going to change the way that you view this question. But do I think that you can date, be married and stuff like that in your early years, 100%. I'm a testament to that. I got married when I was 23, freshly minted out of college. I did get that MRS degree, although that was not the intent whatsoever. But I will say, if that is you and you feel like to be complete in my life and in my step forward with God is to have a husband and a family, that is not true. And I would encourage you, before you jump into any type of life with someone, that person needs to be your best friend. And so for me, my advice to that is, I did get married very young, but I also married the man that I had been best friends with for
7 years.
Before we ever went on a date. We were best friends. And so very different kind of perspective. But do I think that you can do it? 100%. We've been married for 5 years.
And here's the thing too, is I am much older, you know that when you're 20, you don't think this when you're in your 20s.
No, not at all.
When you're in your 20s, you're not grown. No. You think you're grown because you hit the magic number of 18 or 21 or whatever that is, that you're not grown. There is so much in life that you don't know. You're trying to now learn how to navigate without being underneath mom and dad now. Yeah. So you're trying to learn about that and who you are. So having a boyfriend is not essential. Now, I understand you want to go on dates. That's normal. So I used to say this to Candace. You don't need a boyfriend, but if someone asks you to go on a date and you feel like they're pretty a safe person, go on a date. You don't have dating doesn't mean that it's a boyfriend. Right. So go on dates. Yeah. Go out on dates. Now, be smart. You know, I would tell Candace, if you've never met this person, maybe you need to drive yourself to this date and meet them. Be smart, especially, I feel like in this day and time. Just be smart about it. But there's nothing wrong with going on dates with different people. Yeah. How are you going to know who you really think you like until you get to know them? Because in high school, you have this, I want him to look like this and do this and be this. And then that's not reality, because there's no such thing as a perfect man unless your name is Rick Hersey.
Okay.
So anyhow, there's no such thing as a perfect person.
We had joked before we started this podcast about qualifying what dating means, right? Yeah. So I had a friend in college that she would say that she said dating or going on a date is nothing more than just hanging out with a friend.
True.
Right? So she would say, I'm going to go on a date, which is to have dinner with somebody. She goes, it turns into dating when I do it more than 3 times and I have had the conversation that I'm being intentional with getting to know you and growing this relationship. Yeah. And then it turns into a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship after that time period has gone on and we've decided that we are committed. Yeah. She goes, but during those times that I'm getting to know you and growing this relationship, there's not a problem with me doing this with other people as well, because I have to learn and experience different things.
And that doesn't matter what age you are that you're dating.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I thought reading this question, I was like, what would I tell 20-year-old Felisha? And for me, like you talk about the Christian realm, I'm from a very small town. In a small town, you marry your high school sweetheart and y'all... That's it. And so for me, I didn't get married till I was 29. And so my family... Well, what's wrong with you? Like, that's kind of like...
Then you start doubting yourself, like, something wrong.
Like, what? I wish I could tell myself, don't worry about guys. Like, focus on your career. Yes. Like, set yourself up. Invest. Like, invest your money. Set yourself up so when you do meet that person, you know, you have that to build on.
Yes.
I agree. Yes.
So I feel like looking back, 20-year-old Brooks, college life, I feel like I lost so much of my college experience because I was so worried about the dating. And I was focused, just like you were saying. Yeah. I mean, I didn't go to a Christian college, but it was a private college. So you have in the back of your mind, you know, who's it going to be? What's the next step? What's this going on? Now, I didn't meet my husband there. Right. You know, it wasn't until after, and I got married at 24. But I think that's the other part, was that Brandon is older than me. Yes. And so he was ready. Yes. Right?
Let's reiterate what your first date question was
Well, before the pizza got there on the table,
before the pizza even arrived.
before the pizza even arrived, he said, "I'm ready to marry." Oh, I've been watching you.
Creeper vibes at
I've been
first.
watching
Don't say
you,
that.
Don't do
and
that.
I'm here to marry you.
Oh my gosh.
The music.
Yeah,
is
I
the
know.
music. Yeah, but no, he did. He said, he before the pizza got on the table, he said, I'm watching you. I'm here not to date you. I'm here to marry you. And if you're okay with that, then we can move forward with this pizza, either as friends or in a relationship.
She just like takes her slice and goes, peace out, Pep Scout.
So fun. Yeah, how
That would have been Candace.
Yeah,
It's like,
Yes, I would have done that.
over the years now, thinking back, I was like, well, at least maybe it could have been like a steak dinner, like not pizza.
Hello.
So funny.
Exactly. You got to
But that's true about him being older because Dale is 5 years older than I am.
Right.
So he was just at a
a
different
stage. They had gone through that stage.
Brandon
as
never really liked the dating thing. Brandon was like, no. And Brandon is an observer, and he probably was very much observing what
that.
you were doing.
funny,
No, I
actually.
definitely feel like on both, everyone's saying is definitely, I think it's just a maturity for both parties.
Yeah.
If you feel like that. And that's what I'm saying. Like when I was in my 20s, I did like a lot of what Mom said, but then people took
I
that.
honestly don't think you were ready
didn't-
to be married in your 20s.
No.
You might have thought you were.
I thought because of the timeline, I
But
thought
you-
I had to
right,
be.
but you
at the time.
were
It
definitely
took a lot
not
of
ready.
me to like, there's not a timeline. And like she said, and also it really just depends on what you think your dating is and like not boyfriend. I love how Brooks explained that because me, when I told people like, I want to date like people because I want to see who connects
Right.
with me and who understands my vibe. And they're like, oh, you're sleeping with people? Are you? I'm like, no, that has nothing to do. I'm just
Right.
really going to have dinner like with a friend
Yeah.
to figure this out. It has nothing.
Yes.
But people interpret it differently. So before you even start talking to that person and like, I'm going to
Make
go
sure
to date,
they know.
Make sure they know the way
Yes.
you're talking about it. Like
talking about?
I'm talking about a friend going to dinner and this not.
And
the
I
others.
think the other thing that I would say too is just to guard your heart.
yes.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
like,
important.
Like we as women,
Very.
we want things to be pretty and beautiful, and we want a relationship, and we do want all of that. So it's like just guard your heart and make sure that you're sure before you take those next.
I agree. And that's
Absolutely.
definitely. All right. Next question she had for us. Any tips on dating apps or just don't use them?
So my best friend met her husband on a dating app, and they have a phenomenal marriage. I would say though, dating apps tend to go.
They're not being used for what they should be.
They're
used
going
for.
one way a
waiting for someone to
lot of
say
the
it.
time. So my advice to you is, 100% you can use them. And I think that if you are in the realm of dating apps, you know which ones that we're talking about and which ones are maybe more so to actually find someone to date. But be yourself. I think it is so easy to fall into guys like a certain thing, or they want to hear a certain thing, or they want me to text back a certain way, and so I'm just going to do that because that's what we're supposed to do, instead of being true to like you as a person. You're going to attract what you put off. So if you are really looking to date to maybe marry, or to date just to date, but you're like, hey, I'm not doing all the other stuff that are on these apps. I just want to truly get to know people. Be that from the get-go. Don't feel like I have to be overly flirtatious or pick certain photos that maybe are showing certain things. Like, just be who you are. And if the guy's not into it because you're not flirting, he's not going to be your husband. Newsflash.
That's right.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
Remember,
if you've
not
got to
everyone's cup
change
of-
for them, that's not the one.
yeah.
Remember, you're not everyone's cup of tea or champagne.
Yeah. We've established
This
that.
is coins. I love it.
Brandon and I have a friend that has been in our lives for a very long time, and he unfortunately was married to a girl he met on a dating app, right? But he used the dating app, like you were saying, and was not himself. He tended to change everything about himself to be something that she wanted and she liked. So once they were together and once the marriage had happened, things just immediately started to stray. And he's since used a different dating app and was completely himself. Exactly, put out exactly what had happened, did who he is, what he loves, all of that, and has found the most perfect woman, and they have the most beautiful child. So when you use it correctly, you're right.
Yes.
It's the best thing ever. But I think you were saying, and we're talking to women, but we know all you guys are out there watching because you've been
we
telling
know.
us.
Oh, yeah.
So it goes the same way. Like women are looking for truth, honesty, trust. Like start there.
Yeah.
Don't start
Be
the
you.
relationship
Yes.
with things that aren't going to be there. And then it just messes up things later.
Yeah.
So
I
Absolutely.
think that's true. I'm gonna take from the Aladdin. Be yourself.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. I think that's definitely right on the nose. Exactly what I was going to say. All right. Next question was there ever any time where you gave up hope in finding true love? And if so, what did it look like?
Well, I think you're best to answer that question.
Well, definitely
because
gave
you
up
waited
hope.
for a long time.
Definitely gave up on love. I think at the point in my time, what it looked like, just me going out there, conquering the world, traveling. That's what I wanted to do. If I didn't meet Colby, I have a feeling I would buy a house. That was like the goal we're talking about. I know I waited longer to buy a house, but the first one fell through, But like worrying about myself, I was gonna okay, I'm gonna go buy a house. I'll go, if you wanted a baby, I was gonna go, okay, I'll go to those clinics that you can impregnate yourself and I'll have my baby that way. Like there's ways that girls can do stuff on their own if they want to. I got a supporting family. So that's really behind me. I did give up hope. So I started coming up with a different plan for myself. Okay, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, and this. That's what I'm gonna do. And I'm okay with that. And I think that's the part where you have to like,
And then there was Colby.
and then Colby just
God had
sent
other
some
plans.
flowers.
God was like, cute plans, Candace. Just you wait.
Yeah.
not that,
He
not
was
that
again.
for 7 years somebody was telling you that Colby
Yeah.
was there.
Not that we tried.
But again, we probably were not ready for each other at 7 years ago.
No.
So, because definitely not
That's
me.
so
If you
true.
knew me back then,
Yeah.
I was.
I have another song I could sing out loud in my head about Candace, but I won't.
But I have to say, does anybody have any of you have?
Oh my God.
Mom is just in her own podcast over here is what's happening. And it's DJ Mom this morning.
Name that song.
Take it back for us. Take it back for us.
I'm just in a mood.
I love it. So, I mean, that's what it looks like. Always have a backup plan for yourself because you need to stay focused on something because you don't want to get into a depression that we already talked about on an episode. Like you want to overcome that and have a
It's not
supportive.
you. It's not you. As when
That's it.
It's not you. It's them. What is that what you're saying? It's them.
No, what I'm saying is it's not you because you tend to look at, well, what's wrong with me?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
It's not you. It's not the right person.
Oh, I know that. But then after like
No, I
not
wasn't saying
rehearsing.
you. I meant them. It's not.
Oh, wow.
What is happening? We
Wow.
are derailing.
Again, read the book. Might help you.
That's so funny.
But I'm just saying, focus on your goals.
Yeah.
Next question. So
Let's just move on from that. Mom needs
right.
food.
Okay. Have you ever had trust issues? And
I have them now.
what did you do to overcome them? Over the food? Okay.
They told me they were going to feed me.
It's coming. Oh my gosh. Anyways, trust issues.
yeah.
I started my trust issues, I think were valid. I think mine were very valid of where I came and where I trust because of past relationships, past childhoods even. Like I think it started from there, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That's where it started for me. And so, and I think Dad said it most time, like not recently, last coming months, he's like, you just got to trust him, Candace. You got to trust this. I'm like, but what, like I want to say, but why?
Yeah.
Why can't I have a outward look and go, well, maybe this will happen though, and I need to be prepared because that's how I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I need to figure out just in case.
Yeah.
And I did have to go through this. I did go to our therapist. Mom even suggested that before my marriage, and sometimes that definitely does help with trust issues and where it came from and what we had to do is work on that and go, okay, that's where it's going. And so luckily for Colby, when I did get there, that relationship went really well, obviously, because that was I put that wall up. And I think everyone in their lifetime has come to that trust issues with certain things. I think it's normal.
Well, everybody has experiences, and you take pieces of that with you into the next place, which is why I think as Christian women and our morals, and not only just the waiting for marriage, but, it talks about like you have soul ties with people, that you come in contact with. And, I think of that more than just on the, sexual relationships.
Right,
like, you meet with people and you interact and you can feel that emotions and stuff. So you're going to take that along with you. So it's why you always have to kind of protect yourself and your family. But I think that the part of trusting is that we have to stop relying on what we want and our plans, and as Christians, we have a God that we serve that has a much bigger plan. And it's and everything that you do look back on, it's always worth the wait.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
because you and I are very much the same, and we have a plan and we have a timeline and we want this to do, and we want to have a backup. But then that takes away our faith and trust in God doing what He wants and making sure we have the perfect person.
Very true.
And I think being honest too, like with me and you have similar when it comes to our moms left, like that caused huge trust issues. And
exactly.
so, you know, I've been to therapy, but there are still those times where little things pop up and I have to be vocal, like, Trev, I'm feeling this way. And he knows how to respond. Like we have created that. And I think it's being honest with
I agree.
your spouse, like,
Very good.
or the person you're dating, like, hey, I'm feeling this, because they're not mind readers.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
tell them.
That's
I think
a good point.
So for me, my trust issues was not from childhood. I had a phenomenal childhood. Both my parents stayed together. Thank you. But before I met Dale, I was in a very physically and verbal abusive relationship. And so for someone who's walking through that or has walked through that, it is very hard when the person who tells you they love you more than anyone is also the one harming you. And so I carried that for a while. But before I met my husband, I had to take a moment and truly do what the Bible says. It tells you to cast your cares onto Him. And so for me, throughout college, I had very serious times where I was like, Lord, it is just you and me. Like people joke about like, I'm dating Jesus. But for me, like, I was like, no, but for real. Like I have to have a moment where like the Lord is healing my heart and giving me confidence, because your confidence is rattled and shaken in that season. And then when I did meet Dale, having a very open, honest conversations from day one about like even as close as, hey, when we're intimate, it's like, you have to know this. Like I have to be able to tell you this. Like before you're ever married and have those like marriage moments, you have to trust the person you're going to marry enough to be like, here's my whole past. I have healed from that, but here's what's going to happen moving forward into our marriage and our relationship. And that's okay.
Yes. I definitely agree. I did that same thing with Colby. I told him all my stuff. And I think that's very wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last question for
Quickly.
all. Okay. When people say you just know when you find your partner, how is that true when things could possibly go south unexpectedly? How do you know that moment and you think it's going to...
Everyone's laughing because I called out my sister-in-laws before we started the podcast. So I'll let you guys answer that.
Go ahead. What'd you say?
What'd you say? How do you know?
How you're being mean?
I did not.
Quickly, as Mom says.
Okay, so originally when we were going to answer the first question, I was saying I got married young, but my advice would be to wait. And then I jokingly said, no shots fired to my sisters-in-law, both of them, but you don't have to meet someone and get married in the same year.
Well, when it happens.
But I will say, what did I follow up? You two are such a rare testament to that working.
Blessing.
And they both have great marriages. So you guys can answer. How do you know when you know?
And I completely agree with you. I was just giving you a hard time. The fact, so Brandon and I met, we started dating in August and we got engaged December 30th. We got married May. So we didn't even have a full year before we actually met each other.
But you've been married how many years?
We've been married.
Now?
We just celebrated 11 years married. So, but the thing is that I think the term you know, it is very cliche.
Yeah.
I think Brandon and I had a very, very godly, put together relationship. We were both in a situation where I knew that I was supposed to be in a relationship. He was very ready, and I fought it because I turned him down 3 times for a date. And Trevor had to trick me into it. So, I mean, there were times, but I think it's a very, very rare situation. I totally agree that you should take more time to get to know somebody.
Yeah.
The question, though, of when things could go wrong, I think that we were we prayed on it. We had a solid relationship, each of us, with the Lord and with the Lord together. We served together. We are we were fully involved in family time. Our whole lives came together and everything matched. Yeah. And I think that for me was the answer to you know. There wasn't a red flag. There wasn't an issue because we aligned so perfectly in our morals and what we wanted. Right. And I think that's what you have to look for. So the fear of things going south, I think that's the fear with any relationship. I think that's the fear with you're dealing with people, you're dealing with emotions, you're dealing with life events. But I think that's also the commitment of marriage, is that those things are going to happen. Yeah. And there is no, what we call the D word. That's not an option. Yeah. It's not on the table. Right. Yeah. So for us, it's like we made that commitment and that it was going to happen.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That's exactly. Trevor and I were married within 6 months of meeting and started off with me giving him my email. Yeah. He wasn't even getting my phone number. But we took when we realized hey, our first date, he was like, hey, I want something serious. I'm not looking just to date. And I'm like, oh, good, me either. Yeah. I want something serious too. And then we went to Mom. We're like, we really think we're supposed to be together and get married. Will you help us pray?
And y'all took 30 days to fast and pray about that.
Yeah. And we included you in it. And we were like, we just don't want to be making this decision on our own. We want that wise, godly counsel too. Yeah.
And it's hard to say, God, if this is not your will, I want it. That's hard to pray and mean it. Yes. Yeah. But y'all did pray it and meant it.
Yeah. The hardest.
And you had to know that at the end of these 30 days, this might not be his will. But if you truly are looking for that one.
And we did counseling too. About that. We did go.
I think when you truly trust and love someone, and I shouldn't even say love, but when you respect that person. For me, I knew before mine and Dale's first date that I would marry him, as long as it didn't feel.
Long time before.
Yeah, him and I were on a date last night, and I was like, I fully knew I wanted to marry you. Forever. But as long as it didn't feel like a brother on our first date, I pretty much knew. So I journaled to him from our very first date through us dating, because I just kind of knew it would end that way. But I also knew, even if it doesn't, even if I have to burn this journal and I'm so embarrassed, that I had enough respect for him as a person that the day that our relationship ended, I would always have respect and trust and love for him as a human being.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Good stuff.
All right. Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you. Continue the conversation down below. Anything that you want to continue to talk about or new topics you want us to talk about, go on over to our website, go to our Instagram. We love hearing from you. So until next time, we will see you later. Have a great day.